if you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie, eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life.
Is Iran the new Iraq? The war we simply have to have that we will later find out we shouldn't have had. Iran has launched 6 missiles towards the largest US base in the Middle East, Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat, because it would seem on the basis of that post alone that the United States and Iran are now in a war.
Growing crisis in the Middle East. Tonight, the United States prepares for retaliation after those strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities.
Today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth provided new details on what defense officials call Operation Midnight Hammer, carried out with a fleet of B-2 bombers.
Operation Midnight Hammer is too sexual.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea that they were sitting around, you know, we're going to call this Operation Midnight Hammer. I've named it after my Dickie bird. This is a war. People are going to die. Don't call it Operation Nutsack. At least Desert Storm was about a day. We had storming Norm Schwarzkopf. We had them missiles going down chimneys. What's it going to be this one? Ayatollah, Jawana. Where are we going to take it? It's not a joke. It's a war. People will die. Maybe even us at the end of all this.
Also today, Iran accused the United States of trying to destroy diplomacy. And President Trump suggested regime change could be possible in Iran.
Don't use the phrase regime change. That's bad branding. We all know what that means. How did the regime change go in Iraq? Let me know in the comments and chat if you remember when it was all about this. Saddam Hussein is somehow, we don't know how, connected to 9/11. What right did the West have to go and instantiate regime change? Let me know in the comments and chat. Hey, I suppose you'll say, if Iran get nuclear weapons, they're going to attack America. There could be attack on American soil. Well, God, isn't that convenient? Because that, I suppose, would legitimize a war. Remember, in the post-9/11 era, war has been utilized, amplified, exaggerated in order to, well, firstly, it does a whole bunch of things. It galvanizes the domestic population. It legitimizes military expenditure. It likely is hugely beneficial to elite institutions that we might refer to as globalists. All the while, it costs you money. War is expensive. And more than that, it may cost you lives. And let me know in the comments and chat, do you think there's a realistic chance that Iran are going to meaningfully engage in activity on American soil? Do you think they're going to get over to the UK? Do you think Iranians are going to start arriving on the streets of Paris?
And the notion that this isn't an act of war, I find ludicrous. This is a hot war. There are 2 nations, Israel and Iran, trading volleys of missiles every night, every day, and we're co-belligerent now in this war.
I mean, the vice president went on to say that they needed to act now because there was a narrow window. And if they waited, it could have been too late. And they needed to stop the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Do you not share that concern?
No, I don't share that concern. But I have another concern, and that is that 3 bombings to neutralize Iran may turn out to be the 2025 version of 2 weeks to slow the spread.
Do you think that's an interesting point? That 3 weeks to get the situation under control might be like 2 weeks to stop the spread or slow the spread? Do you remember that? Do you think it's comparable? Let me know what you think. I reckon what we have to do is not lapse into fealty just on the basis of cult of personality, whether that personality is Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, who has an exciting and interesting personality. But remember to return to our deep-held values, whether that's fealty to nation or the kind of values from which a nation might even be formed. In your case, that's not an abstract thing. You've got a constitution that's very explicit about what America means. Do you think that America has an obligation, a role, a duty to get involved in foreign conflicts? Do you think that this is motivated solely by American interests, or do you think that America's relationship with Israel is at least a contributory factor? And if you think that it is, do you think that it's good that America is willing to go to war on behalf or in alliance with Israel? Let me know. Let me know.
This could turn into a protracted, prolonged engagement, and I'm here to represent the base of the MAGA party that got Trump elected. Most of us were tired of the wars in the Middle East and Eastern Europe, and we were promised that we wouldn't be engaging in another one. Yet here we see this happening, and there's the president and the administration say, "Oh, we're done. We've had our little bombing, and now this is over." But what happens if this drags on between Israel and Tel Aviv gets pummeled by Iran? Is President Trump going to say we're going to sit by and not do anything in that instance? I'm leery of this given everything that's happened before.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because what we know about war, because of what the near saintly Julian Assange taught us, is that the function, he said, of the Afghanistan war was not to end it, but to prolong it. That the Afghanistan war went on as long as it did, costing American service personnel lives and people in Afghanistan lives, and costing you, the American taxpayer, I think, well, it was like a lot of money. I don't know the exact figure, but it was a lot. The purpose of it was to prolong it.
The goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
Assange says the function of government is to transfer public money into private hands. Now, this is like tax time in your country, the United States. When you're paying those taxes, what do you like to think those taxes are going towards? Like in your little hearty of hearts, do you not think, I'd like to keep that money so I can spend it on me and my family and what I want to do? And do you not allow yourself sometimes to ponder just for a moment, what if like we could just opt out and just establish our own communities? Like, doesn't the technology exist now that we could have localized tax models solely, and that we could trade in cryptocurrencies and we don't need to participate in these systems? I'm not suggesting that America capitulates and negates its vast military power. Yeah, let's keep that vast military power. But perhaps we could have elective participation in taxation. Indeed, didn't you leave the British Empire precisely because you felt you were being unduly taxed in ways that didn't make sense? So unless you yourself have some visceral, rational, spiritual reason for engaging in a war in Iran, then ask yourself, what are we doing here? Where am I getting my information from? Why did I believe that I had to stay in the house and stay 6 feet apart and wear a mask and take a vaccine? Why do I believe that there needs to be a regime change in Iran? Where did I get that information from? If it was from some human resource, interrogate it deeply. Let's have a look at the concert and concordance of normal media voices. Here's the New York Times advocating for war. One of the things that I want you to pay attention to is, are there numerous legacy media outlets advocating for war, bypassing Congress, which I think is constitutionally necessary? Check it out. Here's the New York Times sort of getting into it. Look at these missiles. Oh, look at that purple midnight warhammer. My purple warhead warhammer's going to smash you straight up the bunker. Straight up the bunker. Fox News points out that we're living through the exact plot of a recent Tom Cruise movie, Top Gun Maverick. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is we're being told this is, I think, anywhere from just shy of 200 to 300 feet in depth. There are all kind of reports out there of 1,000 foot, but I think that's more propaganda.
I remember this from other wars, the tendency to fetishize military equipment. That is indeed happening in this instance. Like, oh, it's going to go down there, it's going to bomb that bunker, we're going to bomb you right up your bunker.
So what you end up doing is, if you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie, eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life. It's not just one bomb, it'll be a bomb after a bomb to get through that penetration.
And just lastly, that's what you're talking about. Can penetrate up to 200 feet below the surface. And then, of course, we'll see it try and put the second one in there and go down in there. Yeah. Let's bring in David Burke, our Top Gun and former Top Gun instructor, retired U.S. Marine Corps officer. Now, David, I don't know how well we did that, but you know this better than anybody. Talk to us about, questions over whether or not this can successfully be done.
Did you see that they're kind of delighted in reporting on this? There's a sort of a kind of joy and excitement. Here's our man Alex Jones saying that Trump drank the neocon Kool-Aid and attacked Iran. That said, most people see through the gaslighting. Can you see through the gaslighting? The age of the globalist warmongers is coming to an end. This insane war must end now. When you get concordant voices from disparate political places, it suggests not unity, but a single uni-party narrative underlying it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? If Keir Starmer and John Bolton and Van Jones and Sean Hannity are all saying, let's go for it, then, interesting.
We've long had concerns about the Iranian nuclear program and been very clear that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The US has now taken action to alleviate that threat. It is important that we now de-escalate the situation, stabilise the region, and get the parties back around the table to negotiate. And I've been speaking with international leaders this morning to that end. So I want to reassure the British public that we're doing everything we can to stabilise the situation, to de-escalate the situation.
Here's all European leaders posting the exact same message, a clear indication that there's nothing to be concerned about. Ursula von der Leyen, who exchanged private text messages with Albert Bourla during the pandemic. Iran must never acquire the bomb, she says. Keir Starmer, Iran's nuclear program is a grave threat to international security. David Lammy, he's a politician in my country. Iran must never have a nuclear. Mark Carney over in Canada, Iran's nuclear program, grave threat. Almost as if there's a subterranean set of powerful interests that are able to express themselves through the apparent democratic process. Because I'm sure someone somewhere elected Ursula von der Leyen, the British public elected Keir Starmer, the Canadians, they elected Mark Carney. And yet, it's as if they have one agenda, as George Carlin said.
But you don't need a formal conspiracy.
Right.
When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them.
When interests converge, no conspiracy is necessary. You can learn more from comedians than politicians. What does that tell you about the institutions of power? Let me know in the comments and chat. Free speech is under attack, Jack, but Rumble refuses to take it lying down. Rumble is farting out the fierce cock of authoritarianism and clamping shut the butt cheeks of free speech, baby. When major advertisers conspired to pull their dollary dues, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their back, claiming Rumble had a right-wing culture. But we're not here to fit a mold. We're here to defend free expression. Content from creators like Russell Brand. Yo, I'm that dude. Dr. Disrespect, Tim Cast, and the Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription, it's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan using the Rumble code BRAND. Visit rumble.com/premium/brand and claim your discount today. Together we can turn the tide, whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching. Your support helps keep free speech alive, and with free speech, we can be free together. Subscribe to Rumble now. Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on Rumble.